What's going on, Boiler Nation? It's Tuesday, March 26th, 2024. A brand new episode of the Boiler Breakdown podcast, streaming live on the Boiler Breakdown Facebook page, X account, channel, never know what to call it, Twitter, and YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, follow at Boiler Break Pod if you haven't already. And if you're listening to us on your favorite audio podcast platform, please make sure you're subscribed or following on there as well and give us a rating and review. We'd really appreciate it. I'm Tanner Lee, co-host Evan Webb in the house. Webby, how we doing tonight?
Feeling pretty damn good, Tan. How about you?
Amen, brother. I was, last week I'm like, hopefully we're back talking about.
Well, we're going to be back regardless.
We're going to be back regardless. You're right, yeah. but I didn't want to have to do the dreaded early exit recap like we did last year. That was pretty miserable.
Yeah, I meant to go back and listen to that just to kind of see what the just how it went. I'm glad I didn't because why ruin the good mood?
No, exactly. It was a good week. Good week to be a Boiler fan. We'll definitely talk about the wins over Grambling State and the wins over Utah State. But first, we better let everybody know, if you don't know already, that the Boiler Breakdown podcast is part of Big Banter Sports. We are their Purdue affiliate for both basketball and football. We're excited to be a part of their network and getting to chop it up with other podcasts affiliated with the Big Ten schools. And Evan was on the Big Ten Huddle podcast last Wednesday. Content's a little dated now, but you can still go check it out. Still good stuff on there.
Yes, I got the. Yeah, it was me, JR, the host, and then a guy from. I'm not sure if they're on Big Banter, but it was a Nebraska affiliate of podcast, and I feel really bad because he was so excited. He was actually in Memphis covering Nebraska's game. They just started their podcast this last year, and it's like they're really exploding and taking off. So awesome for them. But I was. If you listen to it, you can hear how much I wanted Nebraska to win for them, just because they've never experienced a tournament win, and fortunately got bounced pretty hard by Texas A&M, unfortunately. But it was still fun. It was a good podcast. We talked about all Big Ten games in the first weekend of the tournament. And I think I was pretty spot on with all. I think I actually got all, except for I think the Nebraska game was the only game I got wrong. So I think I picked Wisconsin to lose. I picked Northwestern. Actually, I might have picked Northwestern to lose. I don't remember. I don't remember.
The way you were talking in our group chat, I'm guessing you picked Northwestern.
I probably
to lose.
Did, yeah. I think their injuries is probably what made me choose against them.
Yeah. But how do you think the Big Ten's fared overall? I mean, of course, the best two teams, Purdue and Illinois, are on to Sweet 16. Michigan State bounced second round. Northwestern bounced second round. Then, like you mentioned, Wisconsin, Nebraska bounced in the first round. But not too many surprises, I guess. There.
No, I think it fared pretty. It's about as like we expected it to. Maybe you could have flip-flopped Northwestern and Wisconsin. Like maybe we thought Northwestern was going to lose just because of their injuries. Right. Maybe we thought, Wisconsin. I didn't pick up anything more just out of spite after them beating Purdue in the Big Ten tournament. Them being a 5 seed playing a James Madison team, a team who had played pretty well all year and had already beat a Big Ten team in Michigan State first game of the season. But I felt like, I really didn't see a whole lot of teams making out of the first weekend outside of Purdue and Illinois, and I was hoping it was just going to be Purdue. But alas, here we are. But I think, in Nebraska, I guess I was hoping Nebraska would be able to put on a show their first game. I didn't think they were going to be able to beat Houston, but I was hoping at least like Tominaga would be able to at least make it fun and make it a fun weekend. But unfortunately, they all got bounced. But yeah, Purdue and Illinois kind of just dominated. I expected them to win, but not in the way that they did.
100% agree. And Purdue started that journey over the weekend with Friday night primetime game, which they were slated just like last year when they took on 16 seed Fairleigh Dickinson last year. But this year was against Grambling State, and Purdue took care of business 78-50. Purdue was up at half 36-27, and I still had the nerves going a little bit at that point.
I was very nervous, yeah.
But it made me feel better when I looked up the box score from last year's game against FDU, and FDU was up 1.
Yeah, you texted Andrew and I about that, and I completely forgot about that. I guess I always thought like Purdue was kind of like up 3-5 for the whole game until the end when we just couldn't pull away. But I forgot that Purdue was down. I actually probably felt better last year at halftime than I did this year, just because I was like, oh, it's a half. Usually you see that a lot of 16 seeds kind of, exert all their energy in the first half, keep it close, and then, the talent prevails. But that obviously didn't happen. But it definitely happened this year.
Yep. I thought Grambling played hard. I thought they had a good game plan. Yes, I text that loyal viewer of the podcast, Thad Mooney, as well as he's noting that on Facebook. I text a couple people that just I had to calm everybody's nerves down.
Yeah,
Well, mine.
I
I had a lot.
appreciate it. It
My
walk
phone was
off the
going
edge.
nuts. So I'm like, all right. I had to walk a few people off the edge there, so
Yours
including
truly
myself.
included.
So,
Yeah.
but I thought Grambling played hard. I thought they had a good game plan. They attacked, they were physical, but in the end, like you said, just talent prevailed. Purdue played very well in the second half. Looking at the game, Zach Edey was amazing. 30 points, 21 rebounds, and 31 minutes of action. I mean, that's just domination. I don't even know how else to describe it. Only two other Boilers were in double-digit scoring figures. Braden Smith and TKR Trey Kaufman-Rim both had 11. Braden had 10 assists, 5 rebounds. TKR had 7 rebounds. Fletcher Lawyer had 8 points. Camden Heide 8 points. Lance Jones 6 points. And then your scoring came from Carson Barrett, 3 points, which he made a lot of people happy in Vegas and a lot of people not so happy.
Yeah.
And Will Berg had 1 point.
I was actually a fan at the gym the next day, and he was like, "Yeah, I had Grambling State plus 26.5 or whatever it was." So when Carson hit that shot, although he was a Purdue fan, he was pretty pissed.
Yeah, it's good for Carson. He had 3 points on the season going into that shot, and awesome for the.
I mean, it's like usually in games like in the regular season, usually you don't see guys take that shot. 'Cause it's, again, it's regular season, and you're up big. You don't want to be a jerk and run up the score. But I feel like when it's tournament time, I feel like all bets are off. If you're a walk-on, you get up, you just start chucking shots because it could be your only chance to ever play in the NCAA tournament. Get it while you can. It's awesome for him.
Yep.
Shout out to Barrett.
Yep, I agree. And I should note that Mason Gillis, Miles Colvin, Caleb First, Chase Martin, Ethan Morton, and Brian Waddell all played against Grambling, just did not score.
I didn't realize that Mason didn't score. I know he was. He was 0 for 3, 0 for 2 from 3, but I feel like I thought he scored at least 1 point.
He played 17 minutes, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. But
you think he was hurt? I feel like he might have been like, I don't know if he just felt off. I mean, I don't know if it was nerves. Because you kind of felt like, I feel like there was 1 point in the first half where you kind of felt like they were getting.
He hesitated a little bit. Yeah, some guys were starting to hesitate their shots a little bit. It's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, but then thankfully they kind of just blew it open in the second half and didn't look back.
Yep. For the game, Purdue shot 47.5%, 28 for 59. Grambling was 36.4%, 20 for 55. Grambling only took 12 threes, made 3 of them for 25%. Purdue took 24, made 9 of them for 37.5%.
Almost doubled last year's 3-point makes against FDU. I think we passed it like in the first half. We had surpassed our total 3-point makes against FDU last year. So
Purdue did struggle from the free throw line, 13 for 22 for 59.1%. Zach Edey had a rough game from the free throw line. Grambling was 7 for 10 for 70%. Purdue killed them on the boards as expected, 48-23. Offensively, 18-5. Defensively, 30-18. Assists, Purdue at 23, Grambling 11. Grambling did beat Purdue in blocks, 6-5.
Yeah,
steals,
they were
8-4.
So, I feel like I hadn't seen Zach get blocked like that. All year, and they were able to get. Yeah, they timed it really well.
And then Purdue had 10 turnovers, Grambling at 6. Grambling had 19 personal fouls, Purdue only 6. So Purdue did a really good job defending without fouling, as they do often, unless you're part of the national media and don't think so. But that's all right. So overall, just a good win. It's kind of sad how much relief I felt just after beating a 16 seed.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Because just like going into the game, I was like, this team, should by all means blow this team out of the water. Like we've seen it all year. Like they took care of every non-con game against an inferior opponent. They beat Samford, a tourney team, by 50. They beat Morehead State, a tourney team, by 30. Granted, it was all at Mackey, but Greenbridge might as well have been Mackey South. Of course, you wouldn't have known that.
Shout out to everybody that went there.
Yeah, you wouldn't have known that in the first 10 minutes compared to the debacle that was getting into the arena.
That's his fault.
Yeah, our good friend Cameron Day, he was texting me saying that he got in, was able to get a beer right when the game started. So it's just crazy. But there was just part of me that was just like, if this game is close, at half, within 9 was probably around that threshold of just if it's I don't know hopefully how's the team going to respond? I remember I was pacing really badly.
Oh yeah.
But thankfully Purdue was able to kind of just create some space and just kind of wear Grambling down. Like they should. But yeah, it was kind of sad just how like afterwards I was just like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Because as we kind of talked last week, it was just like, going into this year, I was like, hey, we've seen the worst things that could possibly happen as a tournament team, like one losing to a 16. But like last week, I was like, well, it'd be a lot worse if we lost again. It'd be way worse.
Cameron Day on Facebook says, well, apparently Braggs in the stands said we suck as fans, went on a 5-minute rant after the 28-point blowout.
Yeah. You know what he's referring to?
No, I didn't hear, it.
Boilers in the stands, Braggs was saying like
Braggs from there.
Like, yeah, he was just saying that Purdue fans can do better, like because you can tell there's a lot of nervous interest. I don't blame people. Like if I'd have been in the stands, I would have been a nervous wreck and all that. But yeah, thankfully, I thought Purdue fans showed up pretty well.
Yeah, no, they came across pretty loud on TV. So yeah. Hopefully they show up well in Detroit too.
Yeah.
But we'll have a few other fan bases in that region that at least one that travels pretty well and they're pretty obnoxious. But no, it was good to get past Grambling. Good to not pick out our food, just take care of business, eat it. So then we got a matchup against the Utah State Aggies, who took care of TCU pretty handily. I did not have that in my bracket, which 8-9s, they're toss-ups every time. They're toss-up games.
I think going into this year, I was looking at like there was some tweet or something about percentages of the lower seed upsetting, and it was just like I think 9 was at like 49% or something. Like it was just like it might as well be 50-50.
Yep.
Did you have a preference of the two going into like that game?
No, I really didn't, and I watched probably half to 3/4 of that game that night. Before I called it a night, and I didn't care. I
think I was leaning towards Utah State because I don't know about anything about either team. I just knew that obviously TCU is a power 6 school. They've come in the Big 12. Jamie Dixon's a hell of a coach. Or they had big guards who like to get up on you defensively. So I was like, maybe Utah State might be the better one. And then I see Utah State blow them out. I'm like, maybe we Utah.
I'll never forget in 2011 when we beat St. Peter's. And I was fortunate enough to be there at the United Center, and we're watching, me and the guys we went with watching VCU in Georgetown. And we're rooting for VCU. The whole crowd's really for VCU.
Was it an 11 seed?
Yeah, 11, and Georgetown was 6. And it's Georgetown, So
yeah.
It's like, we don't want to play them. We'll play with VCU. Then we start watching, we looked at each other like, we're rooting for the wrong team. And then VCU just went on that great Final Four run, and they were good.
Yeah,
they were good. I was hoping it wasn't going to be one of those situations, and thankfully it wasn't. Purdue won by biggest margin of any Big Ten team in the tournament since 1999.
Wow.
Second biggest margin of any round of 32 defeat ever, I believe. 106-67. And it could have been worse than that if Purdue really wanted it to be.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that I think 106 is the most points Purdue's ever scored in a tournament game. I think 104 was the previous high. Just an absolute clinic. I tweeted from our account. Hoping that it would be kind of similar to 2019's second round game against Villanova. Where Purdue just took it to them and Carson blew them up. We Purdue cruised to a easy double-digit win, and I was joking, hoping that would happen just from a fan standpoint of just being able just to relax during a second round game because I felt like I heard like people talk about it, and again it's probably more just the fan side, but I know like Andy Katz says like he thinks Purdue has more pressure to make it out of the first weekend than they would the second weekend just because of what happened last year. So I was just like, if we can just get out of the first weekend, like get that get that monkey off our back as a team. But yeah, I did not see this coming. I was kind of I was really mad at the start of the game. Thought everybody was playing like crap outside of TKR. And then all of a sudden a switch just flipped and that team just took off. And I could not believe what was happening.
Yeah, it was pretty much from the 8-minute mark from the first half on. It kind of started, I would say, with the Camden Heide rebound and dunk. That's
which is like, in like itself, it was a good play. But like when you think back, like it's such an athletic play. Like
it was
rebound and just like jump off 2 feet and jam it as easily as he did. Like we all know he's a stupid athlete, but like it's just such an athletic play.
Oh yeah, the athleticism of him and Miles Colvin, who's definitely getting good amount of run lately. Purdue didn't have that last year. Even Lance Jones adds dynamics Purdue didn't have, and finally the nation's waking up to realize this is not the same Purdue team as last year. They, Zach Edey has even improved, even though he was the
Yeah.
National Player of the Year last year. He's improved. Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, they've improved. Mason Gillis has improved. Like each of these guys have put in work to improve. So
yeah, I mean, it's just like also just in just like the raw data, like the fact that I mean,
yeah,
Purdue last year was like probably in the 200s in 3-point shooting at like 33%,
yep.
and now they're second behind Kentucky in 3-point percentage. So like, yeah, it's just a totally different team. As much as like, which is again was going back to that first game, which is like hopefully that was gonna be the difference, and it obviously was.
Yeah, and we just kind of hit on it. But Cameron Day here on Facebook said, "Boys, let's talk about keeping Heidi and Miles in Payne's back pocket all season long and unleashes their athletic prowess in the tournament to guard these fast guards."
Yeah, I do wonder, and I've heard this talked about in another podcast, but it's like, has Paint kind of been, holding these guys back like on purpose just to kind of, I know it's been referenced like Izzo used to do that with some guys where like he wouldn't showcase what they can do as, as often as, he'd like. And then I mean, it's crazy. I think I glitched out for a second. You got me.
I got you back. Yep,
Okay,
yep. I wasn't sure if it was on my end or yours. So
it's probably
usually
my Wi-Fi.
so
Yeah,
it's all good.
But I mean, obviously, like all year we kind of saw, first come in. Morton was usually one of the first guys, especially if there was a guy, guard that was giving Purdue trouble. But you didn't see First or Morton until time. Which I mean, credit to them for having great attitudes. I mean, you saw photos of in the second round game with Morton coming off the court and just like all smiles with Painter. And obviously, I'm sure this sucks from a personal standpoint for them, but the fact that they're just, putting that aside for the betterment of the team and hopefully bringing those guys along, because those guys, I mean, Colvin and Heidi have a tremendous future at Purdue and with just their athleticism and what they can do. But I mean, Miles has been night and day different than what he was, even just like in January. He's guarding, he's going after rebounds before he never even go after rebounds. And it's just been, I mean, it was a, adding Colvin was kind of that nice spark. I mean, Smith went out with 2 fouls, even though that second foul was complete BS, where he got called for offensive foul. Like he brought in Colvin off the bench, which was pretty wild because it's like you think a backup point guard, but he brought in Colvin and he nails a 3 right away and just kind of kept that offense going. And Purdue was able to pull away without one of the best point guards in the country on the bench.
Yeah, it's been a nice sight to see for sure. These two coming in off the bench, and it proves the Purdue's depth too. And like you mentioned, like Ethan Morton, Caleb First, they've been part of the rotation all year, and not so much the first 2 games. Not saying they're not going to be needed in Detroit because they
very well could be,
very well could be. But they haven't been needed the first 2 games. Hopefully that continues, and hopefully they get run via Purdue blowing out opponents. Hopefully that continues. But looking at the box score from Sunday, Zach Edey led all scorers again with 23 points, 14 boards. Only 2 of those points came in the second half because he didn't have to play much in the second half.
That's wild.
Trey Kaufman ran great game to show out. 18 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Fletcher Lawyer,
the best game as a Purdue player. I mean,
this or Illinois.
That's true. I think about that because there was a game he had last year where Edey was sick and it was against, I don't know, some no-name school, and he like had like 20 plus points. But I was just so impressed with just his effort, his attitude out there. Like it just goes to show like Purdue's not gonna. I mean, obviously it's hard to, not looking forward to next year, but like taking, there's not gonna be as big of a drop off as some people probably hope Purdue has.
No, I still think Purdue will be ranked to start the year next year. I think Trey Kaufman has the potential to be an All Big Ten player. He's definitely got to get the touches. He's got to work out his free throws a little bit because he's got to shoot even more of them next year than he does this year. But plenty of time for that. So, but great game for him. He was definitely a difference maker. Fletcher Lawyer, I think he's played really high level of basketball the past month, and I was on his case in January and part of February, but he has shut me up.
So. I mean, he wasn't playing well, but it's just credit. I mean, again, credit for Painter for not listening to us idiot fans.
He knows what he's doing. That's why he gets paid what he does, and that's why we talk into these.
And that's why he sticks with them. And Fletch has been awesome.
Yep, 15 points, 6 assists. And then Camden Heidi, 10 points, 3 rebounds. Lance Jones, 9 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Braden Smith, 5 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. Mason Gillis, 6 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. Miles Colvin, 9 points, 1 assist, 3 rebounds. Caleb First played but did not score. Brian Waddell, nice to see him get 5 points. Ethan Morton played, did not score. Will Berg played 4 points, 1 assist, 4 rebounds.
Had a nice little turnaround too. Like
he did to get 100.
That was a nice little shot.
Chase Martin Carson Barrett did not score. Sam King, 2 points, 1 rebound.
Yeah, Sam had
So,
the layup to put us at 106.
got some comments here on Facebook. Need to run more plays for TKR.
Then we said having been playing on the matchups and all that. Like, I mean, he's so good at when he gets the ball and that defender even shifts their weight to one side. He's so good about spinning the opposite direction, keeping control of it, and getting to the hoop. Like it's a really impressive show of athleticism.
And these are just more numbers for the whole Zach Edey's just tall crowd. Through 2 tournament games, 26.5 points per game, 17.5 rebounds, 3 blocks while shooting 67.9%.
Yeah,
We cannot take this for granted.
He's just tall though, yeah.
He's just tall, and I love his attitude right now. After the games, the post game on the court, he's pretty short. He's a lot shorter. Okay, that was a bad play on words. He is not short by any means. He's short with his words, shorter with his words than usual. But he is. I just think that's not him being a jerk or being arrogant. It's just him being focused and keeping the team focused. It's great to make Sweet 16, but this isn't our end goal.
Right. They said he didn't come back to make the Sweet 16. He came back to make a deep run to the Final Four and beyond. So, I mean, yeah, credit to them. I mean, it shows the mentality of the team. And we've heard all year long just how confident this team is, and I feel like that hasn't wavered at all. And now that they've kind of got that. I mean, I don't know how much pressure they felt, after that first game. You have to think they probably felt a little bit, relieved. I mean, maybe that's why they unleashed hell on Utah State. Hopefully that continues into the Sweet 16 and beyond.
Right. No easy games remaining. I mean, that started with Utah State. I mean, all the 16 teams left in the tournament, there's no Cinderellas. I don't call San Diego State a Cinderella. They were the national runner-up last year. Don't call Gonzaga a Cinderella. They've made 9 freaking Sweet 16s in a row. And 2 of those years they were national runner-up. I mean, the highest seeds, NC State, but they're as 11, but they're in a big power conference in ACC, and they're hot right now.
Yeah, they won their conference tournament. That's why they're here. Yeah,
they're hot. So, it's pretty chalky. I mean, it was not complete chalk in the Midwest region. It's just saying that Gonzaga beat Kansas, so they're the 5 seed instead of the 4. But I think Gonzaga's better than Kansas. So, it's gonna be an interesting matchup Friday night. I mean, these 2 teams have become well acquainted with each other the last 2 years. We saw them in Maui in November, which Purdue won by 10. We saw them last year in Portland, the PK, which Purdue, I don't remember the final in that game, but I think it was more than 10. But Purdue's 4-0 all time against Gonzaga. But I expect a close game.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, like you said, 9 Sweet 16s in a row. Like it's, you can talk about, deep runs and all that, all you want, lack of Final Fours or lack of national championship on his end, but he's a hell of a coach. He's been there forever. He's built that program from, into, as close to a national powerhouse as you can possibly get without, having a title. They get, the high-end recruits, they obviously the conference that they play in isn't the best, but I mean, it's no slouch. I mean, St. Mary's is a hell of a team and all that, but I mean, you don't want to take them lightly because they're here for a reason, as every team is. Like, you don't get here by accident. It's going to be definitely going to be a dogfight. I hope Purdue can blow them out, but just to make it easy on the fan. But yeah, it's going to be, there's no easy game left.
Are you glad that Purdue's the first game, or were you hoping they were the second game?
In terms, between like Tennessee and Creighton.
Yeah, for Friday itself.
I don't care. I don't really care.
I mean, we have no say in the matter, but I was just curious.
I don't really. I didn't even think about that. I probably just from it's not super late standpoint. Like I'll have to sit. Like I probably just have to sit around and wait all day for it. But hopefully Purdue can just take care of business, and then I can cheer on for Creighton.
Yes, I'm ready.
So I'm not even sure if that's even the right move.
I don't either. I'm
just staying for Tennessee.
I'm just tired of playing Tennessee. I'm tired of playing basketball. I'm tired of playing football. Don't know if we play them in too many other sports. I'm just tired of playing them. And I know if we're to see them in the Elite Eight, I'm sure their fans are going to be chirping at us on social media. Is what it is. And if anybody's not trying to look ahead, but if anybody's assuming Purdue wins Friday, if anybody's trying to go to the Elite Eight on Sunday, I think we as a collective whole need to root for Creighton to win because I'm almost guaranteeing that Tennessee's buying more tickets,
100%.
and then so there'll be more to sell if Tennessee loses.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
Yeah.
but Creighton
Think about that.
Creighton will have a decent following too. I think Gonzaga's going to have the least amount of fans, but
Mm-hmm.
from a geography standpoint, that makes sense.
Yeah. And
So,
just, I mean, smaller school, less
Yep.
alumni, all that kind of
Yep.
stuff. But
Yep.
Yeah.
But I sure hope the fans that showed out in Indianapolis make the drive up to Detroit because, after Louisville, I didn't know if we'd get that opportunity again. And
About
Detroit's
as close
pretty
as you can
darn
get.
close.
Yeah, about as close as you can get.
Yep. So, I mean, because there's no Chicago region or anything like that. So,
Mhm.
the only other I remember in 05 when Illinois went to the championship and lost to North Carolina, their path was unbelievable. It
Mhm.
was Indianapolis first 2 rounds, Chicago for the regional rounds, then St. Louis for the Final Four.
Yeah.
And they packed
Yeah.
the play. They packed it.
Yeah.
It was almost unfair.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was and they should have lost in the Elite Eight. Arizona had them
Yep.
dead in the water, but until a miraculous comeback. But no, looking forward to it. I'm nervous. Don't get me wrong, I'm nervous.
Oh yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. There is a question I've been meaning to ask you, and I feel like I can ask you now that we've got past the first weekend. Is there's so much talk amongst Purdue fans and national media of Final Four haven't been there since 1980. Final Four, Final Four, Final Four. Are you afraid if Purdue gets to the Final Four that then the team will let up a little bit mentally, just knowing they did something that no Purdue team has done since 1980? Or because, like, in my standpoint, yeah, you have to make the Final Four to win the national championship. So it's a huge accomplishment, don't get me wrong, but you're that dang close. Go win the whole damn thing.
Right.
That's,
that's a great question. I don't think this team would. Because I feel like they've been top 3 all year long. I feel like, obviously, yes, the Final Four is a huge stepping stone from a program, but I feel like, I feel like they are like, I think they had the same thing, like, hey, like, great accomplishment. Like, obviously it's huge for the program, but like, exactly, we're we've won 2 game tournaments. Let's go win a third and bring this damn thing home. So like, I think it's more probably from a fan standpoint of like, are we just happy to be there sort of thing? Like, I feel like I heard that about the Rose Bowl in 01 of like, Purdue was just like, hey, we're happy to be here because we haven't been here since like the 60s. But I feel like this team is just so focused on seeing this thing to the very end. I don't think that'd be an issue. Especially because like you're probably going to play like more than likely a Duke, a Marquette, more probably if I had to guess. So like, Marquette, obviously, again, a team that Purdue's played multiple times in the last couple of years.
Yep.
And then Duke is Duke, and you can't take Duke lightly no matter what their seed is.
Don't count out Houston either. They might have got the record they needed, but they're not playing solid basketball right now. So, but yeah, no, it's just interesting because I was thinking about today. It's like, it would definitely be the biggest Purdue accomplishment as far as revenue generated sports since Purdue made the Rose Bowl. And it's crazy to think the gap between 67 Rose Bowl 01 shorter gap than 1980 to 2024 Final Four.
Yeah, it's wild.
Got a comment here from Jeff Parks on YouTube. Sleepers Media and Boilers and Stands are going to be live in Detroit. Are you guys going to be there so that Boiler Prods rule the airwaves that night?
Definitely will be there Friday.
I will not either.
Yeah,
Saturday's up or Sunday's up in the air. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see assuming Purdue can win on Friday. Hopefully, we can get there. I think the difference between us and Boilers Stands is they have media credentials. We do not.
They do. Maybe that's something we should look into eventually. But
I mean, yeah,
maybe.
I feel I would feel bad because I'm too much of a fan to like.
I know I'm right there.
Because I feel like I hear about fanboys and other other teams media. It's like I don't want that, but because it'd be no way that I could sit at a game in Mackey in press row and not cheer like an asshole.
That was one of the most difficult things for me being a football manager the 2 years I was in college. Was at a lot of times I had to turn my fandom off. Or I mean, everybody during games want us to win. You could cheer, but you couldn't cheer like you could in the stands.
Yeah, and you have other like responsibilities. Like you have to, you can't be just watching the game to watch the game. You have to be doing your job.
There's things you got to do, and so that part was interesting for 2 years. I kind of had to home back a little bit, but
I meant to ask you because I was listening to Goodman and the Hummel podcast earlier today, and I don't know if it's just Goodman being Goodman or what, but he was
No.
just like being, obviously he's paying tuition dollars to IU, so it's just
Yeah.
reverse jerks
Yeah.
or reverse jinx. But like he's like, I don't see how Gonzaga stands a chance. Like I shut the hell up.
They are only
Yeah.
7 to 8 guys deep.
Yes,
Um,
they don't have. I
and
mean, I know they may be. They're probably more inclined to play Zach 1-on-1, which I guess like
yeah,
as Purdue gets deeper into the tournament, I feel better about our Purdue changes just because of the fact that as we've seen over the last 2 years, is like teams who try and play basketball against Purdue and play Zach 1-on-1 without turning it into a football match. Sans Tennessee. Purdue usually has been victorious, like because they
yep,
just can't. You can't stop him.
yep. I mean, they're still a very talented team. They're 16 or
Oh yeah.
17-2 since middle of January. I mean, everybody kind of
Yep.
wrote them off, and here they are
Mhm.
again. Um, I think the X factor is going to be like it is every game, taking care of the ball.
Mhm.
Taking care of the ball. I'm confident Braden Smith's going to have a good game because he has the 2 previous times he's
Mhm.
played against Gonzaga, and he gets a little fired up to play Gonzaga. There's, I think,
And
multiple
and he
reasons for that.
yeah, and he didn't play well this last game, so it's like, whenever he has a bad game, I feel like he usually
Yep.
comes out like whatever motivation that kid needs, like by all means do it. But I'm just like when Jeff was talking about, I was like, God, you're just giving them bulletin board material.
I
Which I'm
know, I know, I know. I heard that too. Which I feel like a lot of the country is all of a sudden. A lot of the country went from being skeptical of Purdue for whatever reason this past weekend. So, Wally Zerbiak picking Utah State. Thanks, Wally.
I also feel
And
like
now
Andrew has
I
something about Gonzaga because he was like, it started coming into the tournament, and like probably the two biggest. Probably, I mean, I could argue the two biggest, like, probably potential upsets people were picking was Samford over Kansas
yep,
and McNeese over
I
Gonzaga,
picked
and then
McNeese. Yep.
yeah, and then now it's just like kind of like it's completely flipped. I mean, I think could is Gonzaga's win over Kansas a little inflated just because of the fact that Kansas was down their best player, all that kind of stuff.
Coach was saying he's already been thinking about next year for a month, which was one of the dumbest things. I don't know why
Yeah.
you'd say that.
But yeah, it's kind of like it's just funny how the narrative changes so quickly in the
Yeah,
tournament. Of like, like you said, like Purdue was like, hey, can Purdue, Purdue's not going to make it out of the first round, and now it's just
yeah,
like, oh, they're going to dominate Gonzaga. It's like, hold on,
yeah.
maybe I want to go. You go back to Downton Purdue.
Yeah, I agree. But I think our guys, even though they do read the tweets, I think they do a pretty good job of putting that all in the back of their minds, or
Oh yeah,
not thinking about too much,
yeah,
and just staying focused. This group's pretty special, and that's why I just don't want the journey to end yet. I enjoy watching them play,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but I think my mind is at ease. I mean, this isn't the end goal by any means. I mean, this team probably should make a Final Four and maybe even win a national championship. But we know what can happen in tournaments. I mean, I would say out of 10 games, Purdue would beat Gonzaga more times than not out of those 10 games, but that's why
Yeah.
the tournament's the tournament. But I think my mind is at ease knowing if Purdue does lose sometime between
Mhm.
now and the national championship game, they've lost to a good team.
Yeah, yeah,
There's no, like 2 years ago in the Sweet 16, there's no St. Peter's, which
right.
I wasn't even a slight bit worried about that game in the Sweet 16. I
Yeah,
was already looking ahead to
North
playing
Carolina.
Carolina,
Yeah,
or whoever. I don't even remember who
who
they
they
played.
played. Yeah, yeah, same.
Not this time. Not this time around. So, but looking forward to it. It's just more of the anticipation all week that's killing me. But
Mhm.
I am glad we play Friday, so it gives me some carefree basketball to watch on Thursday nights. I mean, I might
Yeah, I go
have
back
a
and forth because I
one.
mean, maybe it'll be different this week, but I know like last week, like Thursday, like yes, it was nice to not have to worry about Purdue's game, but I remember like it was just like the whole thing was just like
Yeah,
just play the freaking game. Like I just play the game. Like I know like all day Friday was super unproductive for me. I'm sure it was for a lot of Purdue fans who chose to go to work and not do anything and still get paid for it. So shout out to all of you. So maybe some of us work from home, Tanner. Actually,
not on Fridays. I
not on
know.
Fridays. No, you don't. Never mind.
I was in the
But like I just remember like Friday, I was just like I was trying to enjoy games because I mean Thursday and Friday are by far the two best days. My favorite days of a sporting event or sporting
Yeah,
year, just
they're
because
great.
it's just there's just basketball on
Yep.
all the time, much to my wife's dismay. But yeah, because then like obviously starts teetering off real fast. But yeah, it was hard to really enjoy Thursday. Just because I was just like in the back of my head, I was like, just don't ruin this for me, Purdue. Because like
Right.
let me get to the weekend, because Saturday was a lot more enjoyable to
Oh
watch.
yeah.
Just because I forgot that first win. Be like yeah, going back to what you said, it's just this team's so fun to watch and such a joy to cheer for and easy to cheer for, despite what the idiots on Twitter and you never hear those who actually play and coach against Zach and Purdue say the stuff that we hear on certain social media platforms and all that. But apparently Purdue's not fun to watch, which I mean,
So
shut
many
up.
people on X aren't even real.
Right.
And I say that because there's a lot of bots out there that write stuff, but also it's people saying things to stir the pot, or people saying things that they wouldn't say in person.
It's just an
Um,
echo chamber. They hear what they want to hear, and they're just parrots of each
yep.
other.
And I've fired back at some before.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't, but I've also got into an argument with somebody, and I look and they got 50 followers. I'm like, oh, you just created this account yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's is what it is. I mean, he's got to win. Zach's got to win another National Player of the Year. The people who know basketball are giving him his
Mhm.
accolades and his compliments. And call me crazy, I not only think he's gonna get drafted, I'm starting to think late first round.
Yeah, I mean, I think this year's draft is pretty weak, so that definitely plays to his advantage for sure. But like Kenny Smith said it really well on, I
Yeah,
think after, I don't know if it was after or it might have been halftime of the Utah State game or something like that, where he's like, again, like I've talked with Tennessee fans about, they're like, oh, Dalton Knecht's gonna be a way better pro. I'm like, yeah, I'm aware of that. Like,
yeah,
I'm not an idiot. Like, yeah, like I'm not saying that. Like, this is not the Player of the Year award does not go to who's going to be the best pro. Otherwise, some freshman would win it every single year.
yeah,
You might as well give it to Cooper Flag of next year, because he's going to go probably number one in next year's NBA draft coming
yeah,
out of Duke. But it's like, he's like, a smart team will draft him and play him 6 to 12 minutes a
yeah.
game, like, and just like
Give the big guy
play,
a rest. And,
give the big guy a rest, and like, for once, for a 12-minute stretch, play, old school basketball of like having an actual center on this court rather than just having
yep,
5 positionless players. Like, again, good luck guarding him, like, because
yep,
he's just, I mean, as you hear, like, I've heard Dickinson talk about his podcast about like how, guarding Zach, like his bottom half is just so strong, you can't move him. Like, the only way you can move
mhm,
him, and you heard Utah State, one of the Utah State players, I think, say like, you have to, the only way to stop is you have to foul him. Because like, I mean, they did
mhm,
the same thing with Shaq back in the 90s of just, I mean, that was why hack a Shaq is a thing.
yep,
Like, you couldn't stop him because he was a freight train, and you couldn't, he was going to just, murder your entire family if he dunked on you. But you could foul him because he wasn't going to make his free throws. But with
right,
Zach, more often than not, he's going to make his free throws. So
right.
it's just, I mean, it is what it is. We've seen it, when other players throughout, the course of history, but it's like, all you can do is just just try and beat them up.
Yeah, it's interesting going against Gonzaga. They're not gonna be surprised by Zach. They played him
No,
twice.
that's my
You
one
know?
worry. Is just like, I like playing teams that have never played them before,
Yeah,
because they don't know what to expect. So that doesn't give me cause for concern. But again, like, like as Jeff here, like they don't really have depth, so they can't play that.
yeah,
As Chris Collins said, we got 15 fouls to use, like we're going to use them. It's like they don't have that option. I think
yep,
that's just like, I think credit to Zach too, is just like how much he just wears teams down. I think you saw that with Graham,
yep.
you saw it with Utah, just like, yeah, they may be able to hang with him for a little bit, but by the end of the day, I mean, it takes a lot out of you to just stand in the paint with him, because he's gonna just obliterate you if he backs you down.
I,
So
I I'd love to see him land a high altitude team like the Nuggets or the Jazz in the NBA, and get his body, which he's in good shape, get his body in shape, and then that can also help wear people down, guarding
hmm
Zach and in the altitude. Be
hmm
a deadly reserve center combination there.
backup
So
Jokic should be awesome.
yeah, that would be a lot of fun. That'd be a lot of fun. So, um, all right, let's go through the NCAA games and do some
How's your
predictions
bracket
here.
looking? Or your bracket?
Busted. Oh, busted. I filled out one bracket multiple places. I have two of my four Final Four left, and
Yeah.
one half of my national championship games left. If that tells you anything.
Yeah, I've got most of my brackets are pretty similar. I'm in first in one of the challenges that you and I are both in, but I've got my actually I one of my Final Four. I had Auburn in that Final Four. That one
I
I
did.
had
I had Auburn in
Auburn.
the Final
I had
Four.
Auburn, Carolina, Purdue, and Marquette. The one I have for work, I think I had that one, which is probably the biggest payout. I'm in sixth, but I've got Kentucky and Auburn in my Final Four. So that, or no, sorry, I have Kentucky, Auburn, and Baylor in my Final Four, and Baylor in my. So I've got Purdue left in that one. So I am struggling on that one.
At Auburn in the Final Four, I had Baylor in championship. So there we
Yeah.
go. Purdue and Houston in the other half. So yeah. Oh well. I took a shot with Baylor because I wanted to be different, and I took a shot with Auburn eliminating UConn in the Sweet 16 because I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know. Everybody's picking UConn. I had to be different. I should have just went
Yeah.
chalk, but that's what brackets are for. So, speaking of UConn, they have won 8 straight tournament games by double-digit points. They are 10.5-point favorites over San Diego State. This is a rematch from last year's national championship.
I didn't even I was listening to your other podcast. I didn't even register that this was the rematch because I totally forgot that they made
I
the
know.
championship. I think UConn, kind of like last year's championship, I think they just take care of business. They're really good. I mean, obviously, like people want to debate Purdue or UConn. Like, I'm completely fine with them settling it, in Phoenix on Monday, the last game of the season, and go from there. But I mean, they're legit. Obviously, I mean, they're reigning national champs for a reason. Dan Hurley looks for anything and everything to like. What was his? He was talking. I think he was talking to Matt Norlander or somebody like after they played the Sweet 16, like, oh yeah, by the way, you're on Thursday. And he's like, oh, it's just us against the world mentality. They put us against Northwestern versus FAU. Having Auburn. I was like, okay, you're going from Brooklyn to Boston, and you're from Connecticut. Like San Diego State is in Spokane right now, and they're flying to Boston. Like, shut up.
Yeah,
I mean, it is what it is. But I think they roll in that one.
Yeah, he's annoying, but hey, he's got an agenda and a strategy for his team that's working. So, really intriguing matchup. The other Big Ten matchup here: 3-seed Illinois, 2-seed Iowa State. This line has moved since I saw it first. Iowa State's a 1.5-point favorite.
Started out Iowa State 2.5.
Yeah.
I mean, the storyline is you've got Illinois, who's number one in KenPom efficient offense, and you got Iowa State, who's number one in KenPom defense. That'd be really interesting to see. I mean, Iowa State really gets after it. They can shut down like Jeff says, they can shut down anybody. I mean, they absolutely. Granted, I mean, they don't have the offense that Illinois does, but they absolutely obliterated Houston in the Big 12 championship. Like, I mean, Houston barely even scored. I'm praying Iowa State wins, but I think I'm gonna pick Illinois just because I feel like a lot of times when you have good offense versus good offense can often wins out. Illinois' defense, ranking wise, they're not great, but there's some times if they can turn it on, they're really good because they've got a ton of length, ton of athleticism. So we'll see. But I think Illinois, unfortunately, wins.
I'm right there with you. I think Illinois wins a close one. And I should note, and I'm sure all the Purdue fans listening to this realize this. Purdue has played 6 teams in the Sweet 16 this year, beat them all. So their overall record against the Sweet 16 7-0, because 2 of those were against Illinois. So pretty darn cool.
Purdue will struggle when they get out of the Big Ten, though. Don't forget that.
Yep. If we only listen to the national analysts. Yeah. Down in the West, we got 1-seed North Carolina, 4.5-point favorites against 4-seeded Alabama.
It's gonna be a really fun game. Let's say Shan here says I got Iowa State being UConn myself. Probably worth thinking though. Yeah,
could happen.
UNC versus Alabama. I mean, it should be a high scoring game. I'm gonna look at their.
I don't like Alabama. I
don't
thought
either.
They very dirty against Grand Canyon.
Yeah, North Carolina is 16th in offense, 6th in defense. Alabama is 4th in offense, 101st in defense. I think UNC gets it done.
I do too. And then that leads me to this question for you. Then do we get the storyline in the Elite Eight between Caleb Love's new team in Arizona against his old team, North Carolina, or you could almost say this team's another ACC Cinderella, 6-seed Clemson. Do they roll on?
Yeah. I mean, they were
Zona's 7.5-point favorites.
Yeah, Clemson was one of the last undefeated teams in the country this year. I remember, I think at one point they I think after Purdue lost Northwestern, they interviewed. I think it was I think Hall is their big guy. They interviewed, or they were talking. They sent something to him, like it was something, and he's like, "Well," they asked him about Purdue or whatever. He's like, "Well, they don't have a zero next to their name like we do." I'm like, "Okay." Then they lost. Good team. I have not paid attention to Clemson really. I mean, I feel like after they kind of fell off from the undefeated wagon, I kind of stopped paying attention. And I just don't care about ACC basketball. But I think Arizona gets it done.
Yeah, I went with Clemson last night on my other podcast, but I'm going to reverse course and go with Arizona here. I think Arizona's the better team.
Yes.
I just want to be different there and throw out an upset.
I'm a big Ken Palm fan. So we got the Arizona's 9th in the offense, 10th in defense, so probably one of the more balanced teams in terms of like offense and defense. Besides Connecticut, they're 2-8, Purdue's 3-16 respectively. Then you've got who are they playing?
Clemson.
Clemson. Where the heck is Clemson? Oh, they're 23rd, so they got 24th and 38th. So I think Arizona. Yeah. You got a big change in pace. So Arizona has the 16th fastest tempo, and Clemson is 256. So it's
slow it down.
Yeah.
Run half court offense. In the South, got 1-seeded Houston, 4.5-point favorites against a 4-seeded Duke team that a lot of people, if it's possible to sleep on Duke, they've been doing, and I thought they've looked really impressive the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, and Houston obviously got really lucky in the second round against A&M. Fouled out like half their team, had to put which credit to the walk-on. I mean, credit for him for hitting one. He had to hit one, and he did.
Yep.
Shout out to his teammates were like really picking him up before, and that was really cool to see.
Yep.
Sampson's a hell of a coach.
He is.
You wonder, is that their wake-up call, as you sometimes see with 1 seeds or higher ranked seeds, of like, they get one close win and then they kind of wake up and realize they're not, invincible. Yep. I feel like this is the popular pick, but I'm gonna go with Duke.
I am too.
Yeah. I mean, what's his face? Was it McCain who hit 8 threes?
Yeah, in the first half.
Yeah.
Or close to the first half. 6 in the first half, I think. Maybe 8 total, or maybe, I don't know, something like that. But yeah, he was on fire the other day. So, on the bottom half of the bracket, you got 11th seed NC State, who's on fire right now against 2-seed Marquette, 6.5-point favorites for the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, Marquette first Sweet 16 since 2013, I think is what it was, and then
Shaka. I was going to say Shaka.
She did that.
I did that
first Sweet 16 since 2011. He made it with VCU, which is insane. I just didn't realize that. I guess Marquette never made it with what's his face, that really good guard from just a couple years ago. Was it Howard? No.
Yeah, Howard was last name.
Howard, yeah, like he was really never made it out of the first weekend. But
and then Shaka never made it in Texas.
Yeah, there was his hands tied behind his back down there. But I think Marquette. I mean, NC State's an awesome story. I remember I was at a work event in first week of March, and I met a NC State grad. They were playing Duke that day, and he's like, I was like, "Oh, you're NC State?" Goes, "Yeah, we suck this year." And now they are in the Sweet 16. I think their run comes short against Marquette. I mean, Kolek gets another week to kind of heal up from his whatever it is with his oblique. Yeah, they're a really good team. They're there for the reason. So I think they take care of business.
It's fascinating that Purdue, if dominoes fall correctly, could play the same order in same teams they played in Maui.
Yeah.
Crazy. And you were talking about NC State. Like growing up, I compared them a lot to Purdue.
100%,
from a football and basketball standpoint. And, they're never the state school. Heck, which unlike Purdue for basketball, they're probably the third looked school in their state, which thankfully Purdue's not in basketball. But they've always been interesting comparison there.
Mm-hmm.
Then before we pick the Purdue game, we'll pick the game after that. Number 3 seed Creighton, 2 seed Tennessee. Tennessee's a 2.5-point favorite.
So I think I'm cheering for Creighton. I don't know if that's the correct thing to cheer for because they can really fill it up from the guard spot. Kalkbrenner. It'd be a cool from a storyline perspective again because Purdue recruited Kalkbrenner, didn't get him, which led them to get to Edey. Would they try and guard Edey one-on-one? I don't know. Kalkbrenner's a hell of a defender. But I think he would struggle against Edey just because Edey's just so much bigger than him. I think I'm cheering for Creighton. I think again, it just comes. I just want.
I'm cheering for Creighton.
Yeah, but I think Tennessee gets it done. Unfortunately,
I'll pick Creighton. I'll go different there for you. The Purdue Gonzaga. Purdue's 5.5-point favorites.
Picking the Boilers, obviously. Final score 75-70.
All right. I'll go 82-75 Purdue. And MVP, I'm not going Zach. That's just too easy. I gotta go Braden Smith. I feel
was
like
gonna pick him. Dang it.
you can
Yeah.
pick him too. Well, he's
Yeah,
good
yeah.
against Gonzaga, and like you brought up a great point. He's coming off maybe not his best game against Utah State, and usually when that happens, he responds very well.
Ooh, Mark
Feldman on
86.
Facebook. I love it. I love it. Love it, Mark.
Yeah, love it. I love it. See, last time
Because
Purdue was in
Sunday's
16,
game was the most I could relax during a Purdue game.
yeah.
Well,
I kind of stopped
well,
paying attention at one point, like because I was checking the phone, I was talking to people, and
Yep. That was fun.
yeah, it's really enjoyable. Let's do it again.
All right, so we'll go ahead and predict the Elite Eight then based on our matchups. So
Yeah,
we
so
both have UConn playing Illinois.
UConn.
Yep, I agree. North Carolina against Arizona.
I think North Carolina gets it done. It's stupid. I hate picking the ones, but like
I know.
I mean, it's so chalk. Which it's only the fifth time that all ones and twos have made the Sweet 16, which is crazy. But yeah, I just feel like Arizona doesn't play enough defense to pull this one out.
I'm right there with you. Duke against Marquette.
It's probably back. I'm picking Duke. I don't know.
I'm right there with you. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Something.
I feel like they didn't impress me down the stretch in ACC play. I mean, I saw them play against North Carolina. I watched both the Carolina games, and they did not impress me. But I don't know. Maybe it's the name. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like been there, done that as a program.
Yeah.
All-time winningest percentage for any team in the term of history that's played a minimum of 20 games.
So I heard you ask that question on your podcast. I was going to say UCLA. That was my guess.
Yeah. I mean,
but then I was like, also like when they won the championship, there was like 4 teams in the tournament, so to play as many games.
Right. And then you have Purdue against Tennessee. I have Purdue against Creighton.
Purdue can't lose to Tennessee. I can't do it. Can't do it.
I can't stomach that either. No, I think if Purdue gets past Gonzaga Friday, no matter who they play, Tennessee or Creighton, I think they find a way to get it done. And it's just so crazy that what they might have to go through to get to Phoenix. You gotta exercise the demons of Detroit. For Purdue basketball history. Isaac Haas against Cal State Fullerton happened in Detroit. Mitch Richmond and Kansas State happened to 3 Amigos in Detroit. And this time, there's a good chance, they're playing Gonzaga, who they already took care of once this year. If they get past them, they might play against Tennessee, who they've already taken care of once this year. It's like they're going to have to do what the 3 Amigos couldn't do and beat a team twice in the season. So, but I just I think the story continues through the weekend. So, Purdue could play in order: Gonzaga, Tennessee, Marquette, and then Arizona or Illinois.
I don't even want to think about Purdue playing Illinois. Like that makes me like that's up there with like thinking about playing like IU in a national championship. Like vomit all game, all weekend. Like I couldn't do it.
I almost threw up on my podcast last night thinking that next Monday, because my co-host of my other podcast is a big Illinois fan, that we could potentially talk about Illinois and Purdue both in Final Four next week. Next week's episode. I about threw up just thinking about that. So yeah, but happy to still be dancing. Absolutely. Happy to still be playing. Happy to be talking about it.
Crazy that I feel like this gets lost so much just because of last year. St. Peter's, North Texas, like Purdue's made the Sweet 16 5 of the last 7 tournaments.
Yes. And I don't even put that much stock in North Texas. I'm sorry, that whole year, and I know they did what they had to do.
Overachieved from what we thought. It was a weird year, anyways. Like no fans, but again, Purdue, we had no expectations. It was a fun year because we had no expectations, and obviously we saw Jaden Ivey come up. Zach Edey was we thought he was going to be redshirting going his freshman year. Then what's his face transfers, Harms transfers.
Harms.
So it was like he was just it was found money. The tournament was all in Indy. Like obviously, it sucked, but I mean that team was so young. Like it was just kind of like,
Yeah.
I wasn't really I remember when we lost, I was like, oh, that sucks. But this team is so much more ahead of it
Yeah.
than what it was. The
I
same
feel
people
like
don't talk. Yeah.
I handled that loss a lot better than any of the other double digit seed
Yeah.
losses
And
that
also, I
I've
think it goes back to
seen
just
here.
like, I was just happy to have the tournament because, again, like last year, the year before that, it
Right.
got taken away from us because of COVID. And
Yeah.
it's just like, as much as it sucked not being able to go to games, but like, the fact I was able to watch Purdue basketball for a
Yeah.
whole season was awesome.
Good point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good point. But yeah, that's the one that whenever they put up there, I don't put too much stock into, even though it happened. So you gotta mention it. So
I have to ask. So, I mean, I know Boyd Sports does this a lot, where they joke about the Matt Painter coaching tree of the, Chris Beard. They beat Purdue as when he was at Arkansas Little Rock. North
Mhm.
Texas coach got hired somewhere after they beat Purdue. Shaheen Holloway got hired at Seton Hall after, and then obviously then what's his face?
Danny Sprinkle.
FDU got the FDU's coach got
Oh,
hired
the
somewhere
hell.
last year.
Yeah.
Now, like, but can we include Danny
Danny
Sprinkle after Purdue blew the doors off? He gets hired at
Yes.
Washington.
Yes, we can. And he's now going to be a Big Ten foe,
Yeah.
which is so weird to think about. But
I mean, he's actually a really good coach. I mean, the fact that he was able to
he
do
is.
that, first year coming from Montana State, in the Mountain West, he won the league, that got 6 teams in. That was just really that was worrying me. It was like, this is like, obviously, yes, the name is not, it's not a a Texas A&M, it's not a Power 5 school, but like, I mean, it's not a slouch of a league, that's for sure.
No.
And so that gave me cause for concern. But I mean, yeah, Purdue took care of him, and I mean, yeah, we'll see him next year.
Well, it is wild to see these, and rightfully so, I guess, in some circumstances. Other circumstances, I think schools are making the wrong hire just based on one game or two in the NCAA tournament. But it is crazy to see all these major coaches after their teams are out and NCAA tournament's like, new job.
Well, yeah, it's crazy. I was thinking about this today, listening to Ruben Hummel. They're talking about all the coaching changes. Like, I feel like you see guys jump really quickly, but I feel also like you have to, because with the way that with the portal and all that, like, you have a good year.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that you're going to have a good
Right.
year next year because half your team could. I thought about it. Lewis at Ball State, he had a really good year last year. Had he got another good year this year, he could have maybe gotten another job. But they didn't have a good year this year because, I mean, they lost guys to the portal. You look at Shirts at Indiana State. Like, I feel like he has to take a job somewhere, like a Power 5 somewhere, like, because there's no guarantee that they're going to have.
So did he not take the St. Louis job?
I haven't seen him in St. Louis has even been hired, but I know he's been linked to Louisville. So you wonder if, like, he's kind of weighing his options.
Because there was rumors he was going to take the St. Louis job.
Yeah, I heard that, but I wonder if
a lateral move. But.
Yeah, I wonder if, I mean, they're in the they're in A10.
Yeah, A10.
A little bit better conference.
Yeah, but
yes, yeah. I mean, like, you look at St. Louis versus like Louisville, it's apples and oranges.
Right.
You wonder,
right.
But yeah, it's just crazy that these guys have to. I mean, like Dusty Mays, obviously, I know you're kind of alluding to, of like, last year he goes on a run, hell of a run. Obviously, it helps that he played a 16 seed in the second round, thanks to FDU and Purdue.
Should have been out in the first round against Memphis.
First round against Memphis. But this year underachieved throughout the regular season. I feel like they brought almost everybody back.
Right.
Get bounced in the first round. But now he's the coach, which I was surprised because it was not like he was going to go to Louisville. But I mean, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I feel like he's a pretty decent coach, but we'll see. I mean, it's probably a good spot for him because it's, basketball is not central there as it is would be at Louisville.
Correct.
But yeah, we'll see. Because it could be a Holtman type hire where, like, it's gonna be okay, but then it's just a disaster by the end.
Mike Davis type. I always go back to Mike Davis, Indiana.
Yeah.
But actually, Mike Davis is. I'm going to compare that to Diebler at Ohio State. We'll see how that turns out. But Louisville's really.
The more I've talked to Ohio State, I've talked with JR about this on the Big Ten Huddle, and I've talked to other Ohio State fans in my personal life, but I feel like it sounds like Diebler did a lot of recruiting too. So I wonder if that helps, like, keep these guys, but also, like, will he, because I feel like, Ohio State was getting legit players. I mean, Bruce Thornton was a borderline 5-star on some sites, but like, it sounded like Diebler was a recruiter for a lot of these big guys. So you wonder if, how much will that even fall off with him, but you never know.
Yeah. But speaking of the Painter coaching tree, even though this guy was more of the Katie coaching tree, but he coached with Painter and played alongside Matt Painter, and his son's on Purdue's team. That is Chase Martin. Gonzaga Martin, it looks like he's going back to Missouri State, where he was a decade plus ago.
And so was Paul Lusk at one point, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So, Gonzaga was Missouri State, and then he was at Tennessee, then Cal, then Missouri. Thank you.
Yeah.
So good to see him back, getting back into coaching. I'm guessing
Mhm.
that's the end of his podcasting days, but that's okay. Coaching pays the bills more.
Yeah, I'm sure, Chase being a senior, like, Nad's not worried about
Yeah,
him, missing his games, which
right,
is pretty
right.
cool that he did that. Obviously, I mean,
Yep,
he's definitely made
yep,
enough money to support that, but
yep,
it's good to see him back in the coaching
yep.
realms
A
again.
lot
Hopefully
of
he does well.
coaches can't give it up. They can't stay
No,
away, and
no.
like Jay Wright's a big fish out there. I still think someday we'll see him come back. I don't know.
You
The
do?
reason he left
I think he's
was
done.
NIL, but
Yeah.
man,
I
I
mean, he's
don't
got
know.
such a sweet gig with CBS
Like,
now. Like, I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I don't
like,
see him coming back. If he doesn't
I know
open, like,
Calipari's coming
Golden.
back to Kentucky, and
Mhm.
I'm a broken record saying nobody does less with more talent than John
Yeah.
Calipari. But if Kentucky would have decided to split ways, they should. Jay Wright should be on their
So that was
short
my.
list.
I was going to ask you. Was like, it had the split ways of Calipari.
Yeah,
Who would have you like? Top 2-3 guys. Who would you say like if you were Kentucky's AD? Like like
yeah.
obviously Kentucky's. I mean, they're probably the second biggest name in college outside of
Mhm.
Kansas, I would guess, if not number one. Who would
Yeah,
you like? You could ask anybody, but who would you go
yeah.
after?
I think Jay Wright would be one you ask. Honest to God, I think you give Matt Painter a call. Um, Hope he wouldn't leave. I don't think he would leave. I think you give him a call. I think he's that well respected around
Mhm.
the
I would say
country
Danny
as
Hurley. I
far
say
as
you
guys.
make Danny Hurley
Yeah,
say so. I mean,
yeah,
he's an East Coast guy. He went to Seton Hall, like so. I feel like it's gonna be hard to pull him from there. But I mean,
yeah.
Kentucky's got stupid money, and
They do.
is his ego big enough to think that
Yeah.
he could do it at Kentucky?
But
Uh,
UConn's such a and Kentucky's a basketball school first, but they got a good football program. UConn's got a trash football program, and he's pretty safe there. He's won a national
oh
title,
yeah,
and they've
yeah,
proven they're a sleeping dynasty. So
yeah.
um, I don't think you call Mark Few. I think he's likes where he's at, and
I
he's
think he's about done. I
his
think he's about
age.
done. Yeah.
Um, well, that's a really good question. I can't think of there's not like a young guy that just blows me away.
Yeah.
Maybe they call Brad Stevens, but I feel like that's kind of wore off too.
So the names I was like, I've heard people say, like, before Kentucky kind of turned it on at the end was like, you call Danny Hurley, make him say no, and you call
Yeah,
Scott Drew, make him say no. Like
Scott Drew.
those are another ones. I mean, again, Midwest guy. I mean, I know Kentucky's second in
Yeah,
the South, but like, I think you're saying like, I think Scott Drew is actually Baptist, which Kentucky's pretty big Baptist
mm,
state. So like, he'd get along well that way and all
mm,
that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you
yep.
continue to call. It goes Kentucky, Louisville, back to
Oh my
Kentucky.
god. Oh, jeez. Yeah, he's something. That guy. That guy's
Yeah.
something. But, uh, yeah, Boilers 7:39 tip Friday night on True TV and TBS. I want to say. I know it's on two
You see
stations.
Lapis is doing our game. I was really upset when I saw
Yeah, I
that.
did see
Did he
that.
do our FDU game last year?
I don't
thought he
recall. I've really tried to block a majority of that game out of my mind, even though I never will be able to.
TBS True TV. I also heard Robbie's going to be in Detroit doing, I think, Westwood One Radio. So hopefully, let's get 2 wins for Robbie.
Yes.
If you're watching.
Yes, Gene should be in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Katie. So, but 7:39 tip. That's right around dinner time, maybe late dinner time, but right around dinner time. Nobody wants to cook on a Friday night, especially when the Boilers are playing. So that's why you should give Mad Mush a call or go into Mad Mush or order online. Boiler Breakdown is brought to you by Mad Mushroom, who's been serving Boilermakers since 1993. They're located in the heart of West Lafayette, and they're known as the home of the original cheese sticks. Whenever Evan, Andrew, or myself visit, we like to sit down and have an ice cold beer while trying out their latest pizza of the month, which their pizza of the month for March is the Chicken Caprese pizza. It's a blended tomato sauce with chicken, chopped garlic, fresh spinach, grated Parmesan cheese, mozzarella cheese, and fresh mozzarella pearls, finished with basil and a balsamic glazed drizzle starting at $14. So whenever you're in town or next time you're in town and like Friday night, for instance, stop in, tell them the Boiler Breakdown sent you for $5 off any order over $20. And any Boiler Breakdown listener or viewer can use the coupon code BREAK5. That's all caps BREAK5 to claim your discount online at madmushroom.com. Mad Mushroom, feed your head.
Big Ten news, not tournament, but NIT is Georgia defeated Ohio State 79-77 in the quarterfinal.
All righty.
So no Big Ten teams left in the NIT.
All That's
What
doesn't
a
hurt my
shame.
feelings. Doesn't hurt my feelings, to be honest. Another sponsor that the Boiler Breakdown is brought to you by, and that's the sponsor that's on board just for March Madness, but we are pumped to have them on board. That is Autograph, which is Autograph's a company co-founded by probably the greatest quarterback of all time, even though I don't care for the guy, Tom Brady. The Autograph app is where your fandom lives. The app gives diehard fans like you, like Evan, like myself, everybody watching, listening to this podcast, access to all the best college sports content, fan challenges, and exclusive rewards like crazy discounted tickets, exclusive merchandise, and more. Be on the lookout. They're doing specials right now for Sweet 16 tickets in Detroit. So make sure you check that out in the app. You can unlock rewards like these just for doing things you already do as a fan, like listening to the Boiler Breakdown podcast, following news on the Boilermakers, and sharing your favorite content and more. Download the free Autograph app in the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Use referral code BREAK. That's in lowercase BREAK. See you at the game. And you can also just scan the QR code right here on our screen. That works as well. And lastly, here's a Jameson Battle missed the 3 at the buzzer.
Oh, wow.
Guys, of course, now he misses. And Evan, our last sponsor of the Boiler Breakdown is the shop. Why don't you tell everybody a little more about the shop?
Of course, the shop has been, serving fans hometown apparel since 2011. Started out in garages, and they've got 3 retail locations. Hopefully, if you were in Indy for the first 2 rounds, you're able to make it to one of the 3 locations in downtown Indy, Broad Ripple, or Carmel. They make incredible shirts for schools all across the state, whether it's the Boilers, the Hoosiers, the Sycamores, who are in the NIT quarterfinals tonight. Tanner's wearing an awesome football shirt. Never too early to start talking about football.
I want the long sleeves. It's cold up here. So.
Never too early to start talking about football. Excited to see what we're doing. I've got the kind of the similar to the font on the jerseys for basketball. Super comfortable shirts. I've got Purdue Pete drinkware here. They got all things Indiana, the state of Indiana, whether it's schools, sports, or pop culture. They're always coming out with new stuff. Indy 500 coming up, which is crazy. May's almost here.
When they drop that merch every year is awesome.
Yeah, the incredible Indy 500 merch. They do stuff with the Indianapolis Indians. Like it's awesome. Great people. Great products. And if you go to theshopindy.com, use promo code breakdown for 25% off your first order.
Yeah, you will not be disappointed. It's not just saying this because they're sponsored, Papa. This is so comfortable.
I was buying the shop before they ever sponsored us. So
Yep. Amen to that. So it's cool when you walk around and see so many people wearing Purdue merch from the shop too. It's awesome. So hopefully you've used that discount code. If not, get on it. So, all right, Webby. Any closing final thoughts as we wrap up? What's hopefully not our last postseason episode of Boiler Breakdown.
Yes, so hopefully we're back again next week talking about something we've never covered on the Boiler Breakdown.
Goosebumps, man.
I know. Hopefully we're talking about hopefully we're talking about trip to Phoenix and how we're going to get there and trying to do whatever we can to get to Phoenix. I'm happy to it's exciting. Getting obviously the tournament's awesome. Getting past the first 2 rounds is kind of gives you that extra oomph of like, okay, now we know the best teams are left, and it's just time to go out and just kick some Gonzaga ass.
Yes, boiler up, hammer down, beat the Bulldogs and either the Blue Jays or Volunteers.
Boiler up.